Hey everyone, so in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up an S corporation. Now, I'm really excited for this video because S corps are something that I've been using for a few years now. I currently have 2 S corps and it's saved me a lot of money. So if you're a business owner and you have business income, but you're feeling like you may be paying too much in taxes, this could be a really great strategy to lower your overall tax bill. I'll first go over what an S corp is, the requirements, as well as who should form one. After that, I'll walk you guys through how I set up my S corps and how you can too. And then we'll talk about the pros and cons as well as the whole process of setting up payroll for your S corp. So let's get started. So first I want to say that an S corp is a tax classification. It's not actually a type of business entity. So I like to think of it as an LLC, except there are a few extra requirements, but this allows you to save a lot on taxes. So if you're self-employed, any business income that you're making, it's going to be subject to that 15.3% FICA self-employment tax. An S corp will actually allow you to bypass a lot of that self-employment tax, and it's really why S corps are so popular. S corps are normally associated with smaller businesses, less than 100 shareholders. Since it is an LLC, it's a pass-through entity, meaning any business income flows directly to your personal tax return. And of course, you're getting that liability protection. So you are sort of separating yourself from the business, which is good. So an S corporation must meet the following requirements. It needs to be incorporated domestically in the US. It can only have one class of stock. It needs to have under 100 shareholders, and all the shareholders must meet certain requirements. Now, I touched on this earlier, but who should form an S corporation? I'd say that pretty much anyone with a business that makes at least $40,000 to $50,000 per year is going to be a good candidate for an S corp. The reason why there's a $40,000 to $50,000 net income minimum is because if you're making under that, then the tax savings aren't going to make up the additional cost of having an S corp. But if you're making over that, it's going to make a lot of sense. Remember, we're talking about net income and not gross income. So take your whole revenue and subtract your expenses, and that leaves you with your net income. It's also good for any business owner that wants to limit their personal liability. So if the business gets sued, then they're only going to come after the assets within that business, and they can't come after your own personal assets. Now, there are 2 main ways that you guys can form an S corporation. The first way is to actually just form an LLC and then elect S corp status. You do that by filing form 2553. The other way is to just directly form an S corporation, and I'm actually going to show you guys exactly how to do that right now. So using the link in the description, it'll take you to IncFile's main page, and from here you're going to click Start My Business. Again, like I said, I've used IncFile for almost all of my own business entity formations. Their customer service is amazing. This video is not sponsored by them. I'm just showing you guys because, I really think they are the best platform. And being super frugal myself, I really love their pricing because it's probably the lowest out there. So from here, you're going to select your business entity type, right? So with an S corporation, we're just going to select S corp right here. Then it's going to have you put in your state of formation. So I am in California, so I'll click that. And all these prices are going to be a little bit different depending on what state you are because the state fee is going to vary. Here in California, it's $105 for an S corp. So that is the mandatory fee that you have to pay. And the package fee is what IncFile is charging on top of that to, handle all this for you. So over here on the very right, we have the silver package. You can see that the package fee is $0. So this is literally, the free way of setting this up because you have to pay the state fee anyways. And they'll basically prepare and file the articles of an organization for you. You can do unlimited name searches. You get free registered agent service for 1 year, which is amazing. You get corporation bylaws and a banking resolution. If you want to spend the least amount of money possible, then this is going to be the best choice. However, for most of you guys, myself included, I found that this was the best one, the gold plan. It comes with everything in the silver plan, but they're going to actually help you get your EIN number, which is, a little bit annoying if you do it yourself. They'll help you file IRS form 2553. And yeah, you'll get some other cool stuff that is not included in their base package. If you really value your time, I'd say that this one's probably better. And finally, they have their platinum plan. This is going to be their most expensive package. This is basically like full service. They're going to handle everything. You're going to get everything in the gold package, but they're also going to include business contract templates, expedited filing, as well as a domain name and business email. In my opinion, this one is the best, so I'm actually just going to select that, but you guys can choose whichever one you want. Here it's going to ask me to enter in my contact information, so I'll go ahead and do that here. Next, I'll enter in my mailing address. After that, I'll click next. Here it's going to have you select your state filing time. So standard is 8 weeks, but of course you can expedite at a $50 fee. So this is going to be up to you guys. I'm just going to select this one for now. Here it's going to have you enter in the company information. So you're going to want to select a name. For this one, let's say I want to call it Charlie Chang Management Group. I'll select a designator. So these are the things that are going to show at the very end of your S Corp name. For this one, I'll use Inc. So it's going to show you what it's going to look like. Charlie Chang Management Group, Inc. Any of these designators is okay to use, so you guys can choose whichever one you want. After that, I'm going to select my number of directors/owners. And since it is just me, I'm going to select 1. Here, I can put the business purpose, and then you're going to actually enter in what industry your business is in. For me, I'm just going to use educational consultants. Here, it's going to have you enter in the corporate stock information. By default, they set it as 1,500 shares with a share par value of 1 cent. I actually just recommend leaving this as default, and you're going to select the number of shareholders. And since it is just me, it's going to be 1. Here, it's going to have you enter in your company address information. So you can use their service if you want complete privacy, or you can use your own address. So I'm just going to use my own address. I'll select the address I put in earlier, and it's going to say, is the mailing address the same as the company address above? And I'm going to say yes. Then we'll click on next. Here, it's going to ask you if you want to actually upgrade to their premium service package. And yeah, it's going to include all the stuff, but for now, I'm going to say no thanks. We're going to be asked to provide the director's information for the S Corp. And for director 1, it's just me. So I'm going to check mark my name and my address. Then it's going to have us enter in the officer information. So all these things are just going to be me. VP is optional, but I'll select me. Then it's going to have us provide the shareholder information. So here I'm going to click just me. It's going to have my address here. I'm going to enter in my SSN, number of shares. And since we have 1,500 shares total, I'm going to just give all of them to myself. I'll click save. It'll then have me enter the representative info. I'm just going to select my name here and click next. It'll ask me for my registered agent information, and this is required for an S corporation. But the awesome thing with IncFile is that they actually include 1 full year of the service for free. So I highly recommend just doing this, and I'll leave that selected. After that, it's going to ask for my tax identification numbers. So I'll click my name right here. I'll enter in the SSN. Here, I'll select the physical address for my business, and I'm just going to select the one before. Then I'll click next. Next, it's going to ask if I want to set up a small business banking account. It won't set it up right now, but they'll actually contact you. For now, I'm just going to say no. And then it's going to ask if you want a free tax strategy consultation. So you guys can decide what you want to do, but for now, I'm just going to say I'm not interested. It's going to ask if you want to actually have them help you do your business licenses. So you guys can choose whichever one you want. For this video, I'm just going to say no thanks. And here it's going to allow me to review my order. Go through this, make sure all the information is correct. Click next. And finally, it's going to have me enter in my billing information. So you'll enter all that information right here along with your card number. Make sure to check this box. And after that, you'll click complete and pay. So now let's talk about the pros and cons of S Corps. The first pro, of course, is limited liability. You as the owner and shareholders aren't held legally accountable for any debts or damages. There's also so many tax advantages. For example, it's a pass-through entity, meaning there's no double taxation as you get with C corporations, and all the profits flow to your own personal tax return. You as the business owner are an employee within your S corporation. So you essentially make money within your S corporation. You'll pay yourself a reasonable salary as an employee of your own company. And then any other remaining profits, you can take those as distributions, which are taxed less. S corps are also recognized as separate from the owner, making it easier to sell, transfer, and grow the company. Now, of course, with all the pros, there are some cons with S corps. The first being there are some more strict rules and limits. They have more complex protocols, but if you guys actually use something like IncFile, they'll handle a lot of that for you. And there are different rules in every state for S corps. For example, some states like Louisiana don't actually recognize S corp elections. And some states like Texas actually charge a franchise tax. It will cost more money to set up an S corp versus an LLC, but the difference is not that big. You'll need articles of incorporation, a registered agent, as well as to pay any fees it costs to incorporate. If you're trying to build a company that you eventually want to sell, then it might make more sense to go with a C corp. But I'd say that for 99% of you guys watching this, an S corp is going to be perfect. Another big con and pro at the same time with S corps is the fact that you need to run payroll. You have to set up payroll in order to pay yourself a reasonable salary. Because like I mentioned earlier, you as the owner are also an employee of your company. So you have to pay yourself a salary that the IRS deems reasonable, because they know that a lot of people, they'll try and set up S corps and not pay themselves a reasonable salary, take the remaining profits as distributions, which are taxless. And yeah, it is a loophole, but they are pretty strict with this. So that's why you want to use a payroll software like Gusto. It all needs to be set up correctly, and I'm actually going to take you through Gusto right now. So if you guys use the link in the description, it's going to take you to Gusto's payroll page. And here it's going to ask you 5 questions. First, have you run payroll yet this calendar year? I'm going to select no for now. How do you currently run payroll? Let's say we're new to running payroll. How would you describe your business setting? We'll say we work in an office, but choose whichever one applies to you. What type of workers do you need to pay? So employees, definitely. If you're going to have independent contractors where you're paying them $10.99, then you'll actually select both. So we'll say that one. Interested in offering health benefits to your team? You guys can select select yes or no. And from there on, it's going to have you enter in your information so that you can set up a Gusto account. I really like Gusto because they offer full service payroll. It's really affordable and just makes doing payroll really simple. As I'll talk about later on in this video, making sure that your payroll is set up correctly is extremely important. You don't want to mess this up. So that's why I recommend a platform like Gusto. You guys can pay yourself, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly, however you want. But the just main thing is you want to pay yourself that reasonable salary when you do have an S Corp. I won't run you guys through how to set up payroll because it's gonna, take you guys through that when you do it, but it's pretty simple to set up. And this is sort of what your dashboard is going to look like. You'll handle all payroll from one place. You can pay contractors, you can time track, you can actually track time off. Really, it's such a great tool for any small business to have. And yeah, they're going to actually file all your payroll taxes for you automatically. So that saves you a ton of time. So yeah, if you're looking for a great payroll provider, I'm gonna leave that link down below. Once again, this is not sponsored by Gusto. I just think that they are one of the best payroll options for S Corp owners. So in conclusion, most of you guys are probably deciding between an S Corp and LLC. They're both pass-through entities not paying any corporate tax. They both offer limited liability protection, meaning your own personal assets cannot be touched. And I just say that for most of you guys, if you are making under $45,000 per year, it'll probably make sense just to go with an LLC. And I'll actually link a guide down below in the description showing you exactly how to set up your LLC step by step. If you're making over $45,000 of net profit, then if you do want to save some money on taxes, I would definitely recommend looking at an S Corp because I do understand that it can be kind of confusing. Let's say you're a business owner and you're making $100,000 of net income per year. If you were to make that $100,000 in an LLC, you'd have to pay federal, state, and self-employment tax on that $100,000. And like I mentioned, that self-employment FICA tax is 15.3%. So you'd be paying $15.3 thousand to the IRS on top of your federal and state income taxes. Now, if you make that $100,000 in an S Corp, your taxes are going to look a lot different. Let's say you deem a reasonable salary as $40,000 per year. So of that $100,000, you're going to pay yourself a salary of $40K. And on that $40,000, you're paying the federal, state income tax, as well as that 15.3% self-employment tax. But on the remaining $60,000, those are going to be counted as distributions, meaning you're going to be paying, federal and state income tax as always, but you're going to actually not have to pay that 15.3% self-employment tax. So in this case, 15.3% of $60,000, that comes out to over $9,000 in savings. So you can quickly see why it makes a lot of sense for many business owners to switch over to an S Corp. It'll just save you a lot of money. And, of course, the more money we can save, the more money we can reinvest in our own business to grow it, or the more money we can take out to spend on our personal life. So yeah, overall, there's way more pros than cons. Most of the cons can sort of be mitigated by just using a platform like IncFile, and they will handle a lot of that stuff for you. But yeah, just a reminder, you do have to run payroll. So use something like Gusto and make sure you pay yourself a reasonable salary. You'll definitely want to talk to your accountant to see how much you should pay yourself. And yeah, just overall, bottom line again, you guys, if you make over, let's say $40,000 to $50,000 in net profit per year in your business, then definitely consider switching over to an S Corp. And you guys can reference this video whenever you want. But yeah, all the links will be down below if you do want to set up your S Corp or if you want to set up your payroll. And if you decide that an LLC might be better for you, I'll also leave a link down to a step-by-step guide for that as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you found the video helpful. And if you did, make sure to first share with a fellow business owner because this video might save them a lot of money. And also like and subscribe for more content just like this. I make a ton of videos about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investing. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.